Kisses. That's good enough. Thank you. Yes, thank you.
This is What's in the Box.
What's in the box?
What's in the box?
With Dylan
And Zach.
and Hailey.
And Hailey.
Woo! Thank you.
Yeah. So there's that.
Yep.
So we've had a break. Had a break. Haven't seen each other in a while.
Yep.
Had a couple episodes that I got done ahead of time. And those went well. It was fun.
Yeah.
It was fun to not only like fun to do other things, obviously, like interview other people and stuff, but going to Mad World where I did Brooks or whatever and their whole venue and stuff, and seeing like their like setup and everything was really cool.
Yeah.
Because like while I was there, I got to see them test something, and I don't know if they've said it publicly what they're gonna do, but they were testing an idea for like their podcasting, and it's fucking crazy. It's so cool. It's so cool. And so like to see like obviously like the money backing that and like being able to do it, but like to see it functional was so cool.
Nice.
So that was nice. So yeah, so that was nice. So, but now we're back.
We're back.
Yeah. So I told you that my idea for today was just questions for me, if you had any, or like anything that you had questions about, like me or my family or like growing up or perspective or anything like that. So I figured we'll do that, and then whatever else comes after that, figure it out.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for handing me the mic. Yeah. Let's see.
Did you set an alarm?
How was your lunar eclipse?
The actual like.
Did you notice shifts?
Yes.
Yes.
I did notice, and I don't know if it was because I was aware of it or because like I just happened to notice, but yes, I was disappointed that I didn't get to see the blood moon at all.
Same. I saw it the next night though.
I did. I saw
it. It was pretty epic.
I saw it the next night, but I didn't get to see it when it actually happened because it was too cloudy all through Ghana. So like I couldn't even see like the stars or anything. So that was kind of disappointing. Because I was even awake. I even like woke like. I told Cheryl, I was like, it would be really cool if like we woke up and like we just saw it while the kids were like asleep or whatever, and like, and then we ended up waking up and we couldn't even see it, and I'm like, oh, cool. So that was a waste of getting up early.
I got to see last year's blood moon through my telescope, and that was dope.
I saw it on the way. I saw it on the way to work last year. It was pretty cool. Yeah.
What?
And then, but as far as like shifts, I noticed more of the emotional shifts, not just with me, but like just in conversations and like stuff with other people, interactions with other people. Just like the miscommunication shifts that normally aren't there, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like normally, like if I'm having a conversation with somebody, there's not really, especially like in my household, there's not really a whole lot of like, no, I really meant this, or like I was really getting at this. Like we generally have a pretty good understanding of like where the other person's coming from, but like that was a thing, that there was a lot of like, well, this is your tone. Well, this is like what I thought you were saying. Well, there was a lot of that. So like I noticed that, but
thank you.
But like I've told you, like everybody, at least in my household, like we all understand the value of like communicating and understanding. So like it's pretty easily worked through, but I definitely did notice like that it was different than normal.
That was nice.
It was nice.
Okay, bye. Bye. Are you just dropping? You're a good bird. Good job. I don't have the treats though, so I'm sorry.
Anyway.
Cool.
So yeah, I did notice, but it was just minor things like that. Like there wasn't really I always
wasn't intense.
Yeah, I always have self-reflections on full moons and eclipses.
Uh-huh.
Just because it's a thing that I've started doing over the last couple of years, just in those moments by myself. But as far as like noticeable changes, that was really the only major one. Was that
cool?
But also there was a spike in the podcast, which was cool.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like last week or the week before, or something like that. One of the videos went from like 50 to 300 in an hour out of nowhere. Like it wasn't even like it wasn't promoted. It was one from probably a month ago, maybe. And I was just looking at because I do it all the time anyway. I was just looking at the numbers, and within an hour, it went from like 50 to like 300, and it's gone up. It started to slow down now, but it's gone up to I think 600 right now.
Nice.
So, yeah.
How do you think this new year and the podcast is trending?
It feels better. It feels not only the comfortability of me and being around people and kind of my focus on what I'm getting out of it, what I want out of it, kind of that sort of thing is more focused, I feel. But as far as like the growth of the podcast, I feel it's getting better. I've always said that I have a whole bunch of episodes on there that barely anybody watched. And some of those are kind of my favorite ones, like the ones that have like 4 or 5 views opposed to like 100 or something like that, are normally the ones that I like the most. The people, for whatever reason, just don't watch them or don't know they're there or whatever. But consistently, the last couple, at least the last month or so, everyone has gotten, as far as views and stuff, have gotten more and more. So, and kind of finding, I'm more focused on trying to find not the cheat code, but kind of find like what's working.
Yeah.
Because like I said, there are conversations that I feel like are great that I've had. There are podcasts that aren't excessively long. They're like maybe an hour, but they're like good podcasts that I feel like a lot of people would relate to and a lot of people would like. But for whatever reason, I posted them at the wrong time, posted them at the wrong day, didn't have like a certain hashtag on there, or like for whatever reason, they just don't have the same reach as like some of the ones that like I've done in the last. So kind of figuring out like where that is, so that not so much so I can cheat it, but so much to where I can get it out to as many as
so you can make the algorithm work for you.
Yeah. So more focused on that, but it feels better. It feels better. It feels like I've gotten a lot of my not anxiety so much, but a lot of my like working out my kinks and stuff.
Yeah. You're in your flow state.
Yeah. So like now it's a lot easier to do these things. Yeah. It's not as difficult. It's not like I have to, it's not like even last year, it's not like when I wouldn't have an idea, but I knew we had to do a podcast to stay consistent. And so I would hit record and I'd be making shit up on the spot. Like I'd be like trying to like have a conversation out of thin air. And now even when I do that, I still have things that I know I can go to or ideas that I already have. It's not out of complete thin air. So just getting better at that.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. It works.
It works.
It's working.
You're seeing the positive of being consistent.
Yeah, and also
getting it out there.
And also I'm seeing, watching other podcasts kind of helps too, because I kind of see things that I'm doing or not doing that I'm like, oh, okay, I can kind of like not copy, but kind of like, oh, this kind of works for me, or like I can kind of integrate this. Like um, the podcast I did with Brooke, like his podcast that he's doing with his friend, I watch theirs and I'm seeing their growth. Like I'm seeing little things that like they're getting better at, or like they're changing, or like they're doing that kind of make me feel like, oh, am I doing this in my own, or do I do I sound this smooth, or do I sound like this, like engaged, or like things like that. And so it's kind of like helps me to get better. It's like watching somebody at your job that's doing the same job, but like have little tricks.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, this will help me, sort of thing. So, sorry.
Say she's either gonna be a menace on the floor or she's gonna be real twitchy. How's home life with everything going on right now?
It's okay. It's good. I'm not going to get into a lot of detail, but me and Cheryl did the podcast about Jake, and kind of not so much alluding to what actually happened, but kind of like her background and being married to him, and kind of like the signs and the abusive nature, and like mental like being mentally beaten down and like manipulated and stuff like that. I feel like that was really good for her, because I had most of those stories I had only heard, and not like me and her mom or her, family or whatever. It was just me. So like most of those stories, me and her were the only ones that really knew. So I think her getting that out publicly, and kind of releasing that into the world, not so much, not just out of herself, but like into the world, I think was a very cathartic and good for her. But as far as the situation that happened, it's difficult. There's a lot of emotions, but I feel like we're trying to work through it together, all of us. Obviously, it's difficult for the girls because of their ages, and like trying to discuss emotions, and trying to like not only acknowledge like why you're feeling a certain thing, but like where it's coming from, and that's difficult anyway for their ages. And then Emma and Alice both are very reserved when it comes to emotions, so that's difficult in itself, because I've always been this way as a parent, but as a parent, I'm not pushy. If you want to talk about something, we can talk about it, but I'm not going to sit every day and be like, how you doing? Do you want to talk? What's going on? Like, that's just not who I am. So as a parent, it's kind of difficult, because you can kind of see things, but you got to let them come to it on their own time or whatever. So that's difficult. But as far as like all of us being understanding, and kind of acknowledging, like when one of the girls, this sounds dramatic, but has like an episode, or like is feeling a certain way, or like things like that, like for the most part we're all pretty unanimously like understanding of like, no, they're just going through something. Or like even with Cheryl, which doesn't happen very often, but even with Cheryl, there are times that like we're all like, okay, just like give her time, give her space, like things like that. So I feel like with that situation, it's bad. The situation itself is bad, but I feel like because of how we've raised the girls, and because of our dynamic that we've built as a family, we're able to, it's not breaking us like it would some families in the same situation.
Yeah. How are you doing with taking care of yourself while taking care of?
My wife would say not good. I mean, we've talked about this for years. It's who I've always been, but I understand the space for needing to fix yourself and take time for yourself and whatever, but I've always been of the mentality of I'm giving you space for you to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So if I take the time to do that for me, I'm taking your time to do that for you. And I understand, as we've talked for many years, I understand that that's not the healthiest way to do things, and you do need time for yourself, and you can't help people if you're not helping yourself. But that's difficult for me, especially like in my household, because I feel like that's my job in the household, just because of who I am, is to kind of help everybody else like get through their shit and deal with their shit and like give them space to do that. That it's difficult for me to set aside that time for myself to kind of deal with that. And so like I don't really that often, to be honest. But like things like this, like I'm not doing the work in the sense of like working through it and trying to figure it out and trying to like get past it. I'm figuring out in the sense right now of like giving myself time to breathe in between it.
Yeah.
Like doing this or like going to the laundromat by myself and doing laundry, or like little time to or like I'll go to the grocery store to get groceries instead of like everybody going.
Mm-hmm.
Like just little things like that I've been giving myself, of just like those little times to breathe so that I can keep doing that.
Sure.
But also, I mean, you know that about me. That's a personality trait.
I know, that's why I asked.
That's hard. That's hard to break.
I know. You're always taking care.
Yeah. That's what I'm good at.
Taking care of yourself.
That's what I'm good at.
That's why
But also I will
be. You put in some non-negotiables.
I also
for
will
your daily practice.
I also will be fair and to say that my wife does still daily check in with me and is like, hey, and we had this conversation a couple days ago, and she even said the same thing. She's like, you also are allowed to feel things. You also are allowed your time to do stuff. So it's not like everybody's just like taking all the time, but it's just like I said, it's a personality trait that's hard for me to put aside because I've been doing this forever. So it's hard.
Excuse.
Yes. But I try,
That's an excuse.
But like I said, I try to give myself at least times to.
That's fair.
At least sit and.
As a parent, that's all you can ask for.
Yeah.
Those little times.
Yeah. Which is really funny because like I stopped smoking. Like I told you this. I told you this a lot. No.
It's so good.
Why would I want to when I just saw the face you just made? No.
It's the tart.
No.
Try it.
No.
I dare you.
I don't want to.
Double dare you.
Nope. Doesn't work for me. I don't do peer pressure. No. Okay. Anyway. I'll try it.
Okay.
So you gotta let me finish my sentence.
Okay, maybe.
Yeah. No. What is that?
Blueberry basil lemonade.
It's blueberry. No, I was trying to figure out what that taste
it's
was.
It's okay. Kevin looked at it and it was in the cup and the pulp had settled and he's like, "That looks like placenta." Please tell me what I'm drinking, and I'm just
hey.
Like, well.
Anyway.
It's reading the vibe. We gotta take it.
Anyway.
I
forgot what I was saying. But I was telling you the last time and the time before that like me smoking a cigarette at the end of the day is kind of like my time of like I know no matter what's happening, and so like I stopped smoking. Mm-hmm. I haven't smoked for like December, January, February, March, 3 months. But like this is so much shorter than having a cigarette. So like
2 puffs and then you're like
Yeah, or like 3 or whatever.
Yeah.
And then like I'm like, okay, I can go back inside. And so like that's, although I have those times, it's a lot shorter now. So I don't know. I don't know if that's helpful or not. But I'm still, even though I'm not taking the time to kind of deal with my shit, also I am still taking.
Like, where's the meter right now?
I don't know if it's not. There are it's a tricky question. There are times. no, it is. There are times that it's overwhelming, but on a consistent basis, like every day, I don't think it's always up here.
Yeah.
But I think that there are things that are hard for me not to deal with, so to speak, but are hard for me to feel and also keep doing the things that I'm doing, if that makes sense. Like there's a feeling of like, as a protector of my family, there's a level of like, I don't have that. Like obviously I was unable to do that. And so like, although that's a isolated situation that just happened, and you can say that like you wouldn't know that would happen, there's nothing you can do about it, whatever. But like in my head, I go, well, if I couldn't do that, then how am I going to see it the next time? Or how am I going to do it the next time? Or am I even going to be able to do that? Is that even a thing? And so like having those thoughts and then like having to be a part of like the family unit is difficult sometimes, because like I'm in here and I'm not like
present.
Yeah. So that's difficult. But I don't know. I feel like I said, I feel like communication with Cheryl is helpful. And I feel like I'm pretty aware of when those times happen or not. I don't know. Figure out whenever I deal with those things.
What have you taken from childhood and still keep alive in you today?
I was just thinking about this today, actually. I think my rebellious, anarchist nature of not being okay with what people say you should do or be, or the path you should walk. I think in my younger years, not only did that resonate with me, but like a lot of things that I had around me, a lot of people I had around me kind of fed that into me too. That I feel like that's something that I've held on to pretty strongly, because I have that personality trait. I have that personality trait to kind of go against whatever. That if you tell me to go left, I'm going to go right. Whether that's in the oncoming traffic, I'm going to do it because you told me not to. And there are sometimes it's gotten me in trouble and it hasn't been the right decision. But like I said, that's a part of my personality so much that I never wanted to get rid of that. It felt there was a time in my life where I did, where I had everybody around me telling me, you shouldn't dress this way, you shouldn't listen to this kind of music, you shouldn't act this way, you shouldn't do these things. And at the time, I was like, well, these people are older than me or more grown up in whatever way that means, more mature than me. So they obviously know more than I do. And I did, and I changed everything about me. And I have a picture to prove that to me. Nobody else knows that in that time, but there's a picture specifically where it wasn't me. It was clothes that I would never wear. It was that time frame was music I was listening to that
like 10 years ago?
No.
11 years ago?
It was, I was probably 17, 18. So what, 13?
Okay. I had pictures pop up
13 years ago?
Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
Either last night or this morning.
I would say you want to know the pictures. There's a contrast because there's a picture I'm talking about. There's a picture of me and you when we were playing pool.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
That came up the other day.
Yes.
That is the opposite.
Oh, okay.
That is the turn.
Okay. Because I was just like, that's the picture I showed Opie, and she's just like, who is that?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like,
that's the turn. That is the moment that year specifically.
Because that was when we took our hope tattoos.
Yep. That was the turn of me being like, no, fuck that. That's not even like, I don't like this person. This isn't me. I'm putting on a show. I'm putting on a face for people to be accepted in who I'm around. And I hated that. And so like, that's why there's such a dramatic change. And I'm sure, and I've said this, I don't blame people that knew me before that are like, you've changed and you're a completely different person, which I think people should do anyway. But there was such a dramatic change because of that, because I had kind of changed everything about me. Like and this is not, I'm going to say these things, and it's not a knock to people that actually enjoy these things or that think that like this is how you feel or dress. It's not a big deal, but it's just for me. So like how I dress now, for the most part, is how I'd like to dress. That's how I've always liked to dress. I've been wearing bandanas since I was fucking forever. You know what I mean? Like, I've always been into punk music. I've always been into like that type of feel. And I started going to a church and I started being a part of the church, not just going, but like in the youth group and stuff like that.
Studying.
And stuff like that. And everybody around me was like, well, you shouldn't have piercings. Well, you shouldn't swear this much. Well, you shouldn't listen to anything but Christian music and whatever, which there's a lot of Christian music that I really like. And I have said that, and I still listen to it to this day because it's really good. But there was a closed offness that the people around me were telling me of like, it can only be Christian music. Like, you can't have anything outside of Christian music. You can't have piercings because what's that going to say about, or what's that going to project to other people about like God and stuff like that. And it was a very like one-dimensional way of thinking, but like I said, because of that was who I surrounded myself, and I had cut off, which is, I feel, a dangerous part of Christianity in general, because this happens far too often. And I don't think it's mainly on purpose. I think it's just how most Christians are taught indirectly.
Yeah.
But you start to cut off other people. And that's what I did. So anybody that wasn't like in the church or of that mindset, I cut off. And I stopped talking to, and I stopped hanging out with, and I stopped doing these things, except for you and like four other people. But with that, you're not around other influences either, and you're not around anybody to kind of check you. It's kind of just focused on these groups of people.
Oh no,
and so and so when these groups of people are telling you you should dress this way, or you should listen to this type of music, or you should, that's all your influence, you're gonna do that. So I did, and then so I had piercings and everything. I took them all out. I let them close. I stopped wearing the clothes that I wear and started wearing like khaki shit and like nice clothes, like not like button ups and shit, but like close to it, like nice dress shirts and shit like that all the time. And it just, there was a point where I realized and looked at myself and was like, I'm not happy with this person that I am. Like, I feel the things I was saying was very pretentious. The things that like I was doing was very like I don't know. It felt like a better than you. It felt like a better than you air about me.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't like that because like I'm not that person. I've never been that person. Like I am more than willing to sit down and have a conversation with you. I'm not going to jam my knowledge down your throat because you don't agree with me. Like I'm not. And so like it took me a while to get out of that because like I said, you're so like you don't really know what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
You're kind of just like it's slow. And but like that's a big like I said, that's a big part of who I am. I'm a very against the establishment. I'm a very like you should be able to do whatever the fuck you want. Nobody should tell you what you can and cannot do. Like, is it probably a bad idea for me to run out in traffic? Yeah, that's a bad example. But is it bad for me to run out in traffic? Yes, but I shouldn't be able to tell you not to.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, and I've always been that way. And so like keeping that is probably the biggest thing from my childhood that I've tried to hold on to as closely as possible. Like even when I was in management, I kept that. Like they tried to make us wear polos with the fucking with the logo, with the logo on it and like shit like that. And I didn't because that's just something that's very important to me because it's a part of my personality. So I would say that's the biggest part. And just a genuine care for people and understanding for people. I think that was kind of given to me by a lot of different people when I was younger. My uncles, my dad, my mom, for sure. But just keeping, no matter how frustrating it is or no matter what people do or say, just trying to keep that, at least, if not love, at least understanding of like, I don't like that they did this, but I kind of at least trying to figure out why or where they were coming from.
Mm-hmm.
So I think those things I've kept the most from my childhood.
Do you remember your child vividly? Because like
my childhood or my child.
Childhood. Sorry.
I remember my child.
No, do you completely space out and forget your child everywhere? No, do you remember your childhood vividly? Because, like, I remember, like, blurs of time and places and, like, feelings. But I don't remember, like, specific memories.
There are some.
Unless I'm like.
That's kind of.
It's, like, triggering.
Well, for sure.
Yeah.
Some. I have a very, which has been confusing for me for my entire life, but mainly becoming an adult and realizing that this was the case. But I have very vivid dreams, very clear dreams, and they're very real. So there are memories which I've realized now as I've gotten older and asked like my parents or my siblings or whatever, hey, did this happen? That didn't happen. That I always thought happened. Like there are memories that I thought were memories from my childhood that never happened. They were just dreams that I had that I thought really happened. But then there are also memories from my childhood that I have that are real memories. But I would say consistently, like giving you a timeline, like from this to now, probably say about 50% of that I actually remember, like really remember.
Yeah.
But like you said, there are very specific things. There are very specific times and places and events that I remember. Like I remember when my dad coached our little league team, me and my brother, and we were there for practice and it rained, like it downpoured when we all got there, so we couldn't practice. So my dad just let us go play in the field in the rain. And we were like sliding in the rain and big puddles and like all of us were wet and like I remember that because that was really cool. But like, and I remember I've given examples like when my mom owned the daycare and like things like that. But I don't know. I don't remember a lot of little things. I had a memory. I just realized that this was a made up memory like 2 weeks ago. So I always thought I had a memory that of this basement that was filled with like dog shit, right? And I always assumed because in our old house we had a dog and he wasn't allowed to go downstairs because Cheryl's dad lived downstairs. So we kind of kept him in the kitchen, sort of. That was kind of where his area was.
Mm-hmm.
But there were times that like he would shit on the floor or whatever. So there were times where there was like shit on the floor in that area. But the specific memory I had was a basement, and it was a big basement. And I up until 2 weeks ago, I thought it was a real memory of our basement where in Davenport, where I thought.
Mm-hmm.
And then I realized that never happened because my memory was me standing at the top of the steps of the basement and knowing in my head that I can't go downstairs because there's shit everywhere. That never happened.
Mm-hmm.
And so like 2 weeks ago, I had that dream again of that situation. And I woke up and I'm like, wait a minute. I know where that basement is. I know what that basement is. That never happened. Like I never, and it was like a total mind fuck. Cause this is years. I thought this was a real memory. So yeah, that was crazy. But like, anyway, but there's bits and pieces of it, but for the most part, I don't know. There are things I forget, I guess, that were, unimportant. I guess.
Okay.
They weren't important enough to remember.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm gonna pause.
You're right. Anyway,
4 siblings. How was that growing up in a 5 kid household?
It was really. I've said this before. It was really. I think the age gaps were good in a sense of like we didn't really notice. I didn't really notice. I guess you can ask them. Maybe they noticed, but my sister was so much older than me that for the most part, like obviously, like she still lived in the house and whatever, but she 14, 15, as far as I can remember, when I like was starting to do stuff, like 6 or 7 or whatever. So like I always saw her as like an adult anyway. And she was very like in and out of the house, like doing her own thing, like working and like driving herself around and like stuff like that. So like although she lived with us, she kind of
Was growing and out.
Was only there to eat and like sleep for the most part until we got older. When we got older and she moved back in with my parents when we were in Seymour, that was kind of a lot. That was different in a sense of like she was more in our lives and more aware, more of like, hey, what's going on with this and whatever. But before that point, as far as like our relationship, she was always there for us and always loving and always like, hey, do you want to ride here and like stuff. She wasn't one of those. Tiffany wasn't one of those siblings that was like, no, get the fuck away, like you're younger. Like she was pretty cool about it. But and then Amanda was always, and she knows this, no slight to her, but she was always running away our entire childhood until we became adults. So like when she was there, she didn't want to be there, and she was like making problems and like stuff like that. So it really wasn't like a sibling dynamic. It was kind of I don't, this is going to sound mean, but it was kind of just somebody we dealt with at the time. It was kind of like, yeah, she's going to be gone in a couple weeks anyway, 'cause she's going to run away because she's upset about this thing and whatever. So there really wasn't a big sibling dynamic there.
Yeah.
But me and Brandon, I mean, our sibling dynamic was always best friends. We've been best friends since before. Like, I would say this might hurt my other siblings' feelings, but I would say out of all my siblings, he's probably the closest I have to a brother, a sibling, like as far as dynamic, as far as bond, as far as like all of that, is because like our ages are close. We started as best friends like before like my parents adopted him.
Mm-hmm.
Like we started as best friends and then we kept that dynamic and we've always had that. And we've always had that kind of like me and you do. We've always had that like we don't really have to talk all that often.
Yeah.
But when we do, like it's not forced, it's not hard, it's not anything like that. Like so as far as like sibling dynamic that way, me and Brandon has never been any different. And then Kimberly was I feel like Kimberly was difficult, not in a sense of all of us, but it was just difficult in a sense of we had all grown up so much
Mm-hmm.
that we were kind of, by the time she had a personality or like was old enough to like kind of make her own decisions and thoughts and whatever, me and Brandon were already in high school. Tiffany was already like, you know what I mean? Amanda was already in Iowa, so wasn't here. Like, so she was kind of, and I've said this for years, there's personality traits that she has that I kind of understand where it comes from, because by all rights she was kind of left alone. She was the youngest. Me and Brandon were in high school and figuring our own stuff out and had our own friends and getting our own jobs and had girlfriends and like stuff like that. So like the building of sibling dynamic with Kimberly kind of didn't happen until much later. Like mostly until we were all adults,
Mm-hmm.
to where we all kind of like got our own variation of our own relationship with each sibling, like what that means to us. But I would say growing up, me and Brandon probably would be the only ones that it kind of, at least for me, were only kind of affected each other, because everybody else was kind of doing their own thing.
Yeah.
As far as living goes with 5 kids, you can ask my parents, probably more difficult on their end. But as far as like us, I don't know, I really didn't notice a big difference. And I think that I would have to say, I think that I didn't notice a difference because my mom had always had daycares. Like we were always around huge groups of kids. My mom has a bleeding heart to a fault. So like we always had families that my mom would take in from the daycare because either like their parents couldn't take care of them or whatever. Like we had a family, an additional family of 5 live with us for 3-4 days out of the week, like for months on end, because their mom had to work 2 jobs or stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So like there was always I grew up around a lot of kids. So like as far as like living in a house with a lot of kids, I didn't really notice. It really wasn't like a thing. The only time you notice is when as a kid, the only time I ever noticed is when my parents would be like, "You need to clean the house." And I realized I didn't make half the mess.
Yeah.
And I ended up having to clean, like obviously we all did, but like I ended up having to do dishes for 5 extra kids that weren't my siblings, and also I didn't make all these dishes.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's kind of when you realize how many kids are in your house at a time. But like I don't know. It was always, I liked that. I liked, my house was always, I mean, you know that my house was always the house that had no lock on it. Like
Yeah.
you could come and go, and
I've only
people's
been to your
friends.
house like twice, other than like once inside your actual house. I never hung out at your house.
Yeah, but I'm saying like the dynamic of like you can come over or
Yeah.
like stuff like that. Like
You guys
that was
were pretty chill.
yeah, that was always a thing, and that was something that my parents always had.
Had
So
I known that back in the
there was-
day, I
yeah.
would have ran over to your house a lot more. Just saying. My
Well,
parents
also-
wouldn't have found me.
well, also to that respect, you also had the same rule with your apartment, which is why I was over there all the time. So
Facts.
you didn't really need to come over there if I was at
I
your
mean, at that point, I was
Yeah.
grown out, but like
Yeah.
15, 16, when I was at odds with Sandy and like
Would've been
running away from the fighting, that would have been cool. Instead, I was down the road at the apartments that I shouldn't have been hanging out with.
Yeah.
But you know,
Builds character.
live and learn. Anyway, there's not a point. There's just general randomness, which is the story of my life.
That's fine. Don't need a point. Nobody ever asked me questions on these things.
Nobody
So like
asked you questions.
So I love being asked questions. I like when people, I don't know, not that I like people talking about me, but I don't know. I don't really talk about myself unless people ask, really, or unless it's like a story that contributes to something and somebody asks. So like people ask me questions, I enjoy it because I'll answer anything. I have no reservations or anything on nothing. So it's nice.
So you and your wife, enjoy doing photo shoots.
Yeah,
intimate ones.
Mm-hmm.
Is that more for
sexy ones?
And he likes to post them all over.
Yeah,
which is totally a cool thing.
Which, for what it's worth, I will say, and I know people have said this, for what it's worth, I don't post all of them. There are a lot of.
I hope you don't post all of them.
There are a lot of them that
are just yours.
Yeah, I just have them.
How did that come about in your relationship? Or was that like always like a thing you always wanted to do? Or like was that a self-confidence thing? Where was this origin?
I think there's a bit of all of it, but
or like a relationship thing.
No, actually, it didn't start out.
It wasn't.
It didn't start out. It didn't start out as a relationship thing. It is a relationship thing now. It's something that we do once. Well, now once a year. We were doing it for holidays because it was a lot of fun, but we don't have the time to do that anymore. So it's normally once a year. On our anniversary, we'll go to a hotel and we'll take pictures, or like Cheryl does group ones with some of her friends for Halloween. So, but no, it started out as a me thing, to be honest. I had this conversation with Cheryl years ago about how like there are things that I like to do that people don't. Some people wouldn't think that that's masculine, or like I think.
Don't lean too far.
I know. I'm not leaning on it. I'm like I'm right here. Anyway.
Okay.
But I'm not gonna fall. I'm not gonna fall.
I can't guarantee.
I'm not gonna fall.
I can't guarantee.
It'd be good for the podcast, though.
It'd be hilarious for the podcast. It would not be hilarious to explain to my insurance.
So there are things and a lot of like exploration of myself in that time, but there are things that like it was just fun for me, like wearing skirts or like fishnets or like things like that. That was just fun for me. It was just something that I would do just for fun. And me and Cheryl talked about that, and about we had this whole conversation about like feeling comfortable, and about how like that was a big thing for me, not just with that, but a lot of things for me that like I had always been told like that's not a manly thing to do, or like guys can't do that, or like even something as simple as like boys don't paint their nails, stuff like that, like just stuff that you're always told. And so me and her had this conversation, and obviously her being her, she was like, that's not a big deal. It's about you. I don't care. Like, I think it's fun and I like you either way. And so it's not that big a deal. And then I took pictures of myself for her for our anniversary. I believe it was our anniversary. It was either our anniversary or her birthday. I can't remember which. But of just me, like sexy photos of just me. And it was a lot of fun for me. It was very freeing for me because like I would, not only was I the one doing them, but like they were in our house. Mm-hmm. So like I didn't have to worry about judgment. I didn't have to worry about like another photographer doing that and feeling uncomfortable and like anything like that. And it was just it was a lot of fun, to be honest, for me. And I gave them to her, and like she really liked them, and like was like, well, would you want to do one with me? Because that would be fun for like us to do a couple one. But she also was like the same way I felt the first time, was also like insecure of like, but I don't know, like I don't know if I'm comfortable with other people doing it and whatever. And so we were going to get together for our anniversary, which we do every year. And I was like, well, here, how about we just do this? We have a hotel room for the whole weekend. I was like, I always get the big room with the jacuzzi and the big shower and everything. I was like, why don't we do this? I was like, well, you can pick whatever you want, whatever photos you want, whatever you want to try, whatever, and we'll just do it then. And if you don't like it, we'll get rid of it, and we just won't do it. And if you do, then it can just be a thing with me and you. And she was like, okay, we'll try that. And then that was like 2 months before our anniversary. And then one of her friends was like, hey, we're going to do this boudoir shoot or whatever. Would you want to be a part of it? And she was like on the fence with it. She was like, I don't know. I don't want anybody else to see me. And this isn't you, like, whatever. And so we ended up, their photo shoot was after our anniversary. So we ended up doing ours in the hotel, and she was more comfortable with it because she kind of like got the idea that of what she wanted and what she like wanted to look like and whatever. And then she ended up really enjoying it, like going with her friends and whatever, and like giving suggestions to them and like seeing her photos, and they were professional, so it's not like mine with my phone where like there's no like I did some editing to some of them, but like they were professional, and she really liked it. And so it's just something that like I don't know, it's just something that we have done, and it has strengthened a confidence in the both of us. I mean, I won't fully speak for her, but conversations that me and her have had, she had a lot of self-confidence issues after she gave birth to Wyatt, because she's a lot bigger than she was. I mean, probably a bad example, but like significantly bigger than she was before she got pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
And so like there are things that look different, and she's a little heavier, and like there are things that she's just uncomfortable with. And so doing those first kind of helped with that confidence. It kind of was like, okay, I still see, even if she looks at the pictures and is like, well, I don't like the way my belly looks, like she's still able to be like, well, I like how this thing looks, and I like how this part of my body looks. And like, so it kind of helped her in a way of like being okay with certain parts of her body again, instead of just being like, this whole thing's trash, I just want to wear sweatshirts all the time.
Well, and you guys doing it every year is a way, like, especially for someone, or if a person were to have like body dysmorphia or something like that, it's a way of like you getting, number one, to experience that confidence, that sexiness, that experience of it, but then look back on those photos, and every year you have a new acceptance on the level of your body and where you're at with it, and like what you can do with it and its capacity.
In the acceptance of like the confidence that grows with it. Like,
yeah.
And for example, like there were the first year we did it, there were a couple photos that was very on, especially on her end, there were like a lot of ones that were like hidden, that were like wouldn't show a lot of her body, like just like I guess like a PG version of it, like, you know what I mean? And because she wasn't confident, because she was still like figuring out like parts that she liked and what she was comfortable with and like things like that. Whereas like last year, there are photos that we took that I posted, but also that I have of like more revealing, more like confident in her body, more like wanting to do like certain poses that accentuate things, that like there's a there's a confidence in those that wasn't really there the first time we did it. So like, I don't know if her looking back on it, she feels that way, but especially for me, like I can see it in those of like, oh, okay, so you're getting to a point. And also, I don't know, it's just one of those things that's like, it's just fun to do. Like I said that to her 2 years ago. I was like, it's one of those things that like, it's one of those like against the establishment mindsets that I have of like, we're always told to like not show certain things, or I think there's a say for modesty, but that we're always told like we should be uber modest, especially women. That like there's only extremes. There's either you're a slut and wear nothing, or there's modest and you wear sweatshirts and sweatpants all the time, and that's it. There's no in between.
Yeah.
And so like it's fun to like be able to express that part of you, and especially in a couple setting, it's fun to like have those moments. And like there, if anybody were to see the photo shoots that we do in real time, like it's super goofy, it's super awkward, it's super like it's not it's not sexy by any means, but like it's fun to have those moments of like of joking and like I don't know, having those playful moments while doing something that like does help your confidence and does help your relationship. It does help you being together and like that thing. As far as posting them goes, that was something I went back and forth on for a long time because there's a long train of thought, but I'll shorten it. Because I always had the mindset of like, well, what happens if people see these? What happens if my daughters see these? What happens if like my parents or Cheryl's parents see these or whatever? And I went back and forth on it for a while, but then I had a conversation with Cheryl, and I was like, for me, I don't care because like it's fun. And I don't need to explain that to you. I don't need to explain that to anybody. It's fun. If you don't like it, don't look at it.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? And as far as my kids go, we've been really open with them about things to where like I'm sure if one of their friends were to like show them one of the photos and be like, "This is your mom," like they would get embarrassed per normal. But like they're not embarrassed alone by it. Like they get it. They think it's fun. They see the enjoyment that their parents get out of it, that their mom gets out of it. They think even when she's talked about doing the photos like with her friends or whatever, like for Halloween, like both the girls are like, "Oh, that's really cool," and like have helped her in recent years, have helped her like pick out outfits and like you should really wear this and like so like that aspect is really cool because it's not that kind of took away a lot of the like anxiety of like, well, what could happen. But I have asked Cheryl every time before I post anything if she's okay with it, if these are okay, if she had to pick, like when we're done, me and her will go through photos and be like, I like this one, I like this one, I like this one. And then when I have picked the ones that I kind of that are okay with me to post, I'll be like, hey, is this okay with you? Like, we don't have to do this. Like,
you get her consent for posting.
Yeah, I'm not just like, well, you took the pictures with me, so tough luck.
Right.
But like, yeah, I'll ask her. And there was one photo that I really liked. It's probably one of my favorite photos that I've taken of her. But she was like, I don't know if I'm okay with everybody seeing that. And I was like, okay, done. Like, not a big deal. And I feel like that also helps the dynamic and comfortability of that because she also knows that like I'm not just going to show them to whatever, which I don't. The ones online are the only ones that people have ever outside of me and Cheryl. Those are the only ones that anybody's ever seen. I've never like shown like a friend or anything of like, look, like that's just not the type of person I am. And so like there's a comfortability in that she knows, and she knows like if she's not okay with something, like I'm not going to show anybody. But mainly it's just a fun thing that like I enjoy doing. I really enjoy it. If I could do it as a job, I would, because I think it's super fun. It's a lot of fun. It's very freeing. Like I've said to people, even if nobody sees them, I think everybody personally, but also every couple should do at least one. It's so much fun. It's so freeing. It's so connective for a couple to do those. But also there has to be the flip side of that is there has to be an understanding of like these are for us, unless we both decide they're not. Because I understand there are shitty people out there that will do that and then not only post them but show all their friends.
Yeah.
So I would say there has to be boundaries and there has to be conversations about it. But as far as like I think everybody should, it's so much fun. I enjoy it.
Cool.
Yeah.
Are you currently reading anything?
Yes.
What?
I'm rereading. I was reading. I can't remember what it's called. It's a Corey Taylor book though. It's about his journey in believing in the afterlife and ghosts. It's really interesting. But I'm rereading his book, The Seven Deadly Sins, because it's one of my favorite books of all time.
Do you own it?
Do I? Which one?
Both.
I don't have a physical copy of either one anymore. I used to have a physical copy of Seven Deadly Sins, but then my daughter took it to school and lost it. But the other ones, they're on Spotify though.
Okay,
you just gotta look up. You just gotta look up Corey Taylor books, and all of his books are on there. He has like 6 of them, but Seven Deadly Sins is one of my favorites because it's a real life like exploration of Christianity and sins and what they really mean, and like real life practicality from obviously Corey Taylor, who's in Slipknot. It has like stories and it has this lore about him of like anti-Christianity and stuff. So it's a good book because he goes through each sin, but he also goes through like his feelings on it and like stories he has on it and like things like that. And the main part that he gets to, which is partially why I love the book so much, is because the main point he gets to in most of them is it comes down to excess. It comes down to those things excessively. That's
what the devil is anyway. He'll lead you there.
That lust or attraction or things like that aren't inherently bad. It's just when you have them in excess and when they take over your life and when they cause problems, that's when the sin part of it comes in. That's so cute.
Thanks, it's dry.
It's so cute.
This psoriasis is cracking out.
Anyway, so I'm rereading that. I love reading that book. It's so good. But I'm trying. It's probably going to take me for fucking ever, but I'm trying to get in parts of writing my book in between there. But it's taken me like 2 years now, so because of how busy and everything I've been. So, but I'm trying to do that as well. I'm trying to get things into that. Trying to
writing a book on what? Can you say?
I can give a rough idea.
Sure.
I don't want to give the actual idea because I haven't written it yet. So I have paranoia and I don't want to give other people an idea with people that have the time and could write it. So.
Sure.
But the main idea is there's this kid that grows up in a very abusive family, and to cope with his mental struggles, he creates these 2 helpers, if you will, and they're dragons, and he thinks they're made up, and then they're actually real from a different dimension, different world. And so there's kind of a split between like them being in his life and kind of helping him deal with that, and then the background on their world, like where they come from, because they're king and queen dragons. So like that dynamic of what happened and where they come from and how they got to that rise and whatever, and in the same form, kind of telling the main character's story of like them kind of helping him through his mental struggles, where he thinks they're made up and everybody else thinks that they're made up.
Neat.
So it's really cool. It's a really cool. I over planned it out before I started writing it. Like I have outlines, I have character development, like every character that is going to be in the book, I have background on them, where they're like what their background is, where they've been, where their names come from, where they were born, like everything that has ever, their eye color, their everything. I have outlines on every character that's ever going to be in the book, and then I have the outline of what the book is going to be, where I want to get it to, like the certain parts of it. And the biggest struggle I had with writing it, which I've kind of gotten over now, I just don't have the time to do it. And every time I set aside the time, something happens in the last couple years now. But the problem I had is I had this notion of like how long a chapter should be.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was trying to write to the length. And so so there's an epilogue, right?
I should have handed you one of my books downstairs in my book, and I will show you and witness, and you can witness.
No. But this is kind of where I got over it, right? Because there's an epilogue that I wrote, which does the whole backstory of the dragon.
Sure, that makes sense.
Yeah, and it's long. It's like 4 or 5 pages.
That's nothing.
Okay, but they're pages.
I've read an epilogue.
But they're pages on Word. So like if you put them in a book, they're going to be like double that. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. So like the epilogue, because I was just free flowing that. I was just trying to get that out so I could reference it as I'm writing. You know what I mean? And then the first chapter was about 6 pages ish. And so when the second chapter came, I was like, when I was writing that, I was like, okay, I know what I want to get with this chapter. And so as I'm writing it, I'm like, it seems really short. And I'm trying to add certain things to like kind of make it longer, kind of embellish a few things or whatever. And then it just wasn't seeming long enough. And I'm like, it's crazy. Like it's going to be so uneven. I'm going to have a chapter that's like 6 pages. I'm going to have one that's like 15. And then like, it's going to be so uneven. And yeah. And so, yeah.
Fine.
So I struggled with that for a whole year because I was like because the second chapter,
you so hard.
This one chapter, I'm trying to like spread this whole thing out for like a year. And then the last time I took time to write by myself, I rented a hotel room and I was sitting there and I was writing. I kind of just got over it. I was like, if I focus on this for as long as I focused on this one chapter,
it's never gonna get wrote.
I'm never gonna get it done.
You're not gonna finish.
And there's so much. Because I even do this with podcasts, because I like to build and because I like to give like scope of things.
Yeah.
Because that's one of the things about books that doesn't interest me. Why I get bored with a lot of books is because there's no like building the world. It's like if you read Harry Potter and they didn't explain what Hogwarts looked like, or they didn't explain.
No, I very much feel that because
they were just like they were at a school. Like you don't have a scope of like is it super important?
Yeah.
No, but like for you envisioning what you're reading, it is important.
It is.
And so there's build that I want to get to before I get to the reveal of that the dragons are real and like crossing the 2 worlds. And so doing the second chapter was where I like kind of left it, because I was like, I have so much to get to before I cross these worlds that like if I spend this much, it's never gonna get done. And so like I've kind of moved on from that, but it's going a lot slower because I'm having to like slowly put things in like during time. So I need to find some time to like actually sit down and do it. But there's just been a lot of things that have happened to where I can't really make that time right now.
Sure.
But I have had 1 or 2 people read what I have, which isn't a whole lot, and they've said that it's good. So, and it's in my voice specifically. I never really understood when people used to say that. People would be like, he wrote in their voice until like I started doing this, and it's very much like it doesn't sound like anybody else but me. So that's kind of cool.
Neat.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
For that. So maybe one day that'll happen. Maybe one day I'll finish that because it's a really cool. It's a really cool idea, and I've been really excited about it. And if I could take my brain and have somebody else write it for me, I would. Because it would be a lot easier.
Not how it works.
But also, like, I'm very meticulous about how I feel about this book for real. Like, even down to like the cover art, I have that, and I haven't drawn it. I have it in my head, but I want it to look a specific way. I want it to be a specific thing, and so stuff like that. It's still, which is probably a good thing. It still excites me to think about it. So there's that. Maybe one of these days that'll happen.
Cool.
Yeah. If you want to read it, it won't take you long. I only have like 2.5 chapters and an epilogue, so.
Epic game. Right up my alley.
I'll send it.
I'm in right
I'll
now.
send it to you. I figured out how to send it over Messenger, so I'll send it to you.
Cool.
Thanks for asking me questions.
You're welcome.
I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Tons of fun.
Tons.
Missed you.
Missed you too.
Sorry it took so long.
It's okay.
I love you. Have a good day.